I just want to say to everybody here, I can see your names on the screen, and hopefully you can see them as well. So welcome to the Composition Department here at the Royal Northern College of Music, or rather here at your various places where you're sitting at screens, but in reality the Royal Northern College of Music. I think some of you may have heard, I recorded a little speech about the School of Composition here at the RNCM a little while ago, and you may have heard that, but you are absolutely welcome to ask me any questions anytime in the next hour or so. But what I'd like to do first is I have 4 students here, and they're going to give a little presentation about what they do and their work, and you may have questions for them. Probably the best way, if you want to ask any questions, on your Zoom screen, there's a little blue hand you can press. Then I can sort of see that you want to ask me a question, or indeed, if you want to show your picture and wave your hands in a very vigorous manner, that might help as well. So, Molly, have you asked everybody to keep their pictures off? I mean, so I can't see them.
We're asking just everyone to keep your pictures off, so if you don't want to be recorded, please keep your pictures off. If you actually don't mind being on the recording, you're free to turn your cameras on, that's no problem.
Okay, right, because so as long as you've got some way of getting my attention if you want to ask any questions. So I think I won't, of course, now repeat everything I said in my chat the other day. It's there, you can listen to the recording, but I'm very happily, reinforce something or say something again. That's not a problem at all. So I'd like to introduce to everybody, we have 4 students, Shruti Rajasekar, who is a postgraduate, 1-year master's student, Joshua Urban, who is a 4th year BMUS student, Tap K, known as Kev Wong, a 2-year master's student, and Helena Walsh, a 2nd year RNCM student. That's the joint course with Manchester University. And actually, Helena, could we start with you? I mean, maybe say a little bit about yourself, your life at the university and Manchester and the RNCM, and maybe play something. I know all your pieces are available to listen to, but I think you might play an excerpt of your piece now as well. So it's over to you, Helena. Thank you.
Hello. Obviously, I'm Helena. I'm in 2nd year. I study with Larry Goes, if any of you have heard of him, at RNCM, and I do the full university course as well at Manchester. I'm on the Uni Buddy website, so a lot of people have asked me questions about the joint course if any of you are interested in applying. It is kind of like doing 2 degrees, so you do the entirety of the academic stuff at uni, but that's taken out of your RNCM degree, if that makes sense. So you don't do oral skills or musicianship, but you do all the composition, you have all the opportunities you want for that. And in doing this course, I was also able to remain a first study pianist at University of Manchester, if any of you are also instrumentalists. It is a lot of work, and I do find myself quite stressed sometimes, but I think it's well worth the while. I think it has a bad rep. A lot of people put you off the joint course, but actually I think it's an amazing opportunity. And also you only pay 1 fee for these 2 courses, which is an added bonus. Yeah, if after everyone said something, if you have any other questions about that. And then in terms of the RNCM side of just the general composition degree for 2nd year, we've had loads of opportunities despite the lockdown. We're still able to complete our writing for film project. And in 1st year, we did a dance project. I worked with a poet last year. There's loads of collaboration opportunities that I'm sure everyone else will talk about too. And yeah, I've just had an amazing time already so far. I guess I'm halfway through now. Yeah, so a bit about my composition. Generally, I think it's fair to say that I have a scary sounding style. I think pretty much all of my pieces are akin to horror sounds. It's just what I like, and I feel like it's getting worse over time. So yeah, I've got a orchestral piece that I was able to have performed last year in October. As at RNCM, you have a brand new orchestra, so you have the opportunity to have your orchestral pieces played after first year. They do that 3 times a term, obviously, when everything is back to normal again. I'm sure it won't be like that next term, but perhaps after that. And yeah, sorry, I just read the message. Yeah, scary music is the best. So yeah, I've got a bit of an orchestral piece if you want to listen. I'm not entirely sure how to share sound, so I'll give it a go. Please tell me if you can't hear it. It's 8 minutes long, so I need to find the right part. I might play the weirdest part because I feel like that will give you a better idea of my general style. Okay. Right. Could you hear any sound just then, by any chance? Cool. Okay, I'll just play it. Oh, and it's called The Natural Order of Things.
Helena,
Yeah.
I think it might be. Have you clicked on share screen?
No, but I can do.
Yes, click on share screen and
Okay.
then a little thing saying share computer sound on it.
Yeah, I wondered it. It must. Yeah, I wondered about that.
Try
Okay.
again.
So share computer sound. That should work, right?
Just click on that, yeah, because we're just hearing things from your end as opposed to.
Oh, okay, okay. Let me know if this is better. I'll
Yeah.
just rewind it slightly. Hopefully this works. Let me just. Oh, hang on. I might have to leave the meeting to do that and return. If that's okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go to somebody else, and we'll come back to you, Helena. That's the best thing.
Okay, I'm just going to leave really quickly, and then I'll return.
Well, we'll fit you in a bit. Let's actually go, Kev. Can we go to you now? And
yeah, sure.
Are you okay with sharing your computer sound?
I think Shippy could help me with the sound later.
Yeah, literally, you just click on the green thing that says share screen.
Yeah.
And then
Adam, I've got Kev's thing, and I'll play it when it's his turn.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Anyway,
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kev, say a few things about yourself first, and you know where you're from, what you do, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm Take Wong. I'm a first-year master student here. So I come from Hong Kong. I study with Adam and also Gary Carpenter. So I mean, Helena has already talked many things about here studying here. So I may just talk about basically just my personal experience a little bit. I really enjoy studying here. I really feel that you don't just get good teachers, facilities, or just musicians just hanging around in the building, which is fantastic. I particularly enjoy studying here because I can always, just chatting with different people, and sometimes you got new ideas, and sometimes you just get a chance to collaborate with different ensembles. So I got a chance to work with 2 ensembles here. And also in this February, I was involved in a festival that's featuring New Orleans music. And I was asked to write a piece for the RNCM new ensemble, and which is played during the concert there. And after concert, we also have a great discussion in the New Orleans masterclass. And today I'll actually just prepare a 1-minute excerpt of my piece, which is actually called Feathers Groove. And I can play a little bit of this, and Shippy could just please help me to play that, please. Yeah, thank you, Shruti. Yeah, I mean, that was just a fantastic experience for me to work with the conductor, Anna Hartman, and also all other players. I mean, yeah, it's just I had a lot of fun just standing here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me just add that that was we have regular composer festivals at the RNCM, and the composer Erilyn Wallen was invited up, and we had a day of her music, and we make sure that in all the composer festivals there is a piece of there is a student work which is commissioned for that festival, and Kev's piece was played by the was played by the RNCM New Ensemble, which is a particular ensemble that comes together for any new music event. And so that was just an extract from the concert performance, which was back in, I think, February.
Exactly.
Yeah. So should we let's get back to Helena now. So let's get scary again. So so over to you, Helena.
Sorry, yeah. Did you hear that okay? Was that okay?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, hopefully that was enough of a clip. You can listen to the whole piece if you want. Yeah, it's definitely my grandest piece. It's obviously very busy. I mean, I guess if you want to ask me any questions about that, you can later. Yeah.
Well, actually, just pause for a minute. And if anybody would like to ask Kay, Kev, or Helen any questions at the moment, please go ahead. No? Okay. I'm not seeing any little blue hands sort of appear on the screen, or any real hands as well. So don't worry about it. Let's move on.
Oh, I think there's a question.
Oh, is there? Oh.
In the chat.
A chat one. Okay. What does instrument study at the university look like?
Oh, okay. There's a few questions going on.
Do you want to take that first one from
Yeah,
Jack?
I'm guessing that's relevant to the joint course at the university. So if you're looking at the joint course, and if you want to do a first study instrument there too at university, you basically, I'm not sure what you mean by look like, but I guess basically you have individual lessons. You have something like 30 hours through the year, and at the end you have to do a recital, and you have to do that each year if you want to continue, and the lessons are all free. They're part of the degree, and also you can obviously join ensembles and all kind of stuff like that if you do an instrument there, or even if you don't, you still can.
Okay, yeah. No, thank you for that. So let me just, there's a question from Jake here saying, are there opportunities to work with other composers in the same course? We're now talking about the RNCM, in that the composers come together for a seminar every Wednesday, and there are and the workshops and composer labs that happen through the year. The composers are together, and I find that composers they learn an enormous amount from listening to each other's works and looking at each other's scores. So that, you know, in that sense, they are working together. Also, for undergraduates, there are techniques, year group classes where they work on the same techniques exercises. And for postgraduates, there's an extra Monday afternoon class where they can talk about their work in more detail as a year group, which this year has been about 12 or 13 or 14. I find it's very important to sort of mix the number of groups and mix the number of people in one class. Of course, there are one-to-one lessons, but teachers now, the staff here, they occasionally see their students in groups of 3 or 4 every few weeks or every month or so, as well as the larger year group seminars and the general seminar that happens on a Wednesday afternoon. Now there's a question here from Gwydion. Is it possible to apply for a deferred entry when it comes to composition? Well, I mean, you'd be applying, obviously, maybe I can talk to you separately about this, but you'd be applying by the 1st of October to start in 2021. So we're looking ahead to a year and a bit, a year and a quarter now for what you might be interested in. So I don't know if you're thinking about 2022. We normally don't do deferred entries, but I think that might be something we need to talk about separately. How difficult is a joint course to get from Danny Sampson? Well, it's a tough one. I mean, it's a real, you know, it's a very, it's an elite course. I mean, it's not just one course, it's 2 courses, 2 of the best courses in the country, composition at the RNCM and music at Manchester University. So what can I say? Is you've got to be good. I mean, I would interview you. You also get interviewed people by somebody at Manchester University, and you're up against everybody else. Right, Emilia. Do we have to prepare a composition when attending auditions as well as a solo performance piece if we're doing a joint course like this? Well, I can answer for the composition side of things, is that the audition, and I've given a talk about this, which you can find out about, is that normally to apply for composition, you would send in an application which would include 3 of your compositions that you've written already, PDF of the scores, and if you've got them, sound files of the recordings. Live recordings are great, but obviously not everybody's in that situation, so computer recordings are fine, but you must send in scores. You know, written composition is very much part of the way it's taught. That's not to say we're against songwriting or improvisation as such, far from it, but we need to see a certain sort of musical literacy in the audition. Are there, right, I'm going to take this question, then I want to hand over to a couple more people. Are there still availabilities for this year's course? Right, Jake, right, can I ask you whether you're whether you're thinking of undergraduate or postgraduate? Undergrad, yeah. I mean, if you can get something in the next few days, I'm still doing auditions. I'm seeing somebody in a couple of days' time. Up until about the next week or two, I'm still looking at auditions. But it's you know, you have to get an application very, very quickly in. Now I'm going to wait to I'm going to wait for any more questions now. So Shruti, could you perhaps say a bit about yourself and your work?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Shruti Rajasekar. I am a postgraduate composition student like Take, Kev, Wong. But I am on the one-year course. So I have been here for the past year and I'm getting ready, wrapping up my degree, getting ready to leave. So I am an international student. I am from the United States of America. And I have to say that college is really, really phenomenal in facilitating that transition for international students to come to the RNCM. So they have a week of activities to help you get settled into the college, get settled into the city, and of course, get settled into a new country. I've been an international student in other institutions in other countries, and I can say with a lot of confidence that the RNCM is easily the best at facilitating that transition and making it feel like home when you're in a new place. So this past year, I have gotten to do so many different opportunities because of college. I think Helena spoke to this as well as Kev, but sort of the center of college is this attitude of collaboration. Collaboration between different composers, collaboration between composers and performers, as Professor Gorb spoke to in his introductory video to all of you. Collaboration between the pop school and the classical school, just so many ways of working with different people. And this is facilitated by the staff and the faculty, but also it's the attitude of the students who come into college. I have never been in a friendlier cohort than my postgraduate cohort now. I think Kev can speak to that. And then in general, the whole composition department is just full of really, really inquisitive and curious students. You know, we've actually technically formally completed our term, but because of the capabilities of online, we're continuing with courses. You know, or meeting in classes. You know, we would have finished about mid-May, but we're still having classes. And I think it's a testament to the fact that people are so passionate and interested that week after week, people are still coming, even though, you know, the formal schedule is different. Students are still coming together to learn from each other. We're still having sort of viewings each week where we get together and watch online operas or whatever. So it's a really, really fantastic environment. So I have no doubt that that'll continue no matter sort of what format we're in, online or in person. So like Kev, I had the opportunity to be a part of the Erilyn Wallen in Focus Festival. So this was really exciting for me because I was a huge fan of her music and her approach. And so not only to get to be part of a masterclass with her and learn from her and show her our pieces in that setting, but then to go to an evening concert and have my piece performed after hers was a huge highlight of the year for me. And then to be able to discuss the piece with her afterwards and get her feedback and sort. So I'll just play a short excerpt of my piece, and then I'll briefly speak about 2 more opportunities I had at the RNCM, and then turn it over to Josh maybe. Just going to share my sound here. Okay. So this piece is called I Saw You and I Danced, and it was composed in response to one of Erilyn Wallen's pieces, a piece called Dervish. It's for cello and piano, and because I was responding, I took some sort of technical elements of her piece, you know, high cello. The piano is not only melodic and harmonic accompaniment, but also sort of a percussive instrument. She uses a lot of knocks and such in her piece, so I did the same. And the aesthetic of the piece is very different from Dervish. If you go and have a listen to that, you'll see it's very much in a sort of octatonic sort of aesthetic and sort of sound language there. And I very much did not do that, but it definitely is a piece that responds to it and tries to stand, you know, next to it. So I'll share it's about a 5.5 minute piece. I'll just share about 2 minutes now. it there. So this piece was, oh, thank you, to the players, really. This piece was performed by Rob Wheatley and Maria Look on cello and piano, respectively. And we had a wonderful time getting to actually workshop the piece before they played it. And even at the dress rehearsal, there was a bit that was not coming across with some of the knocks. We changed it to sort of rolling the feet across the pedals. And so we were even composing and making changes together collaboratively right before the concert. So it was a really, really wonderful chance to work with performers in this dedicated way and then continue to sort of have a relationship with them. Aside from this opportunity, I've gotten to do a variety of different things at college. Just briefly, 2 of them. I was part of an annual workshop with the BBC Singers. So 5 of us, I believe, got to bring our choral pieces and have them workshopped by the BBC Singers in London, which was a real, highlight. I sort of have a background as a singer and chorister, so that was sort of a dream come true. And then additionally, I was part of a project with PRISM. You might have heard about PRISM. It's the Center for Research between Scientists and Musicians. So this is right in the RNCM. We have this sort of world's renowned leading the charge between these kind of collaborative projects right here in the college. And so my project was with the University of Liverpool scientist who works in quantum technology, which was something I had absolutely zero experience in, but it's sort of all of the things that we will be using in sort of 30 years from now. To get a glimpse of that, to get to see her research, go down to the research facility and learn about what she's doing, and then to write a piece in response to that. So that will be performed next year, so maybe some of you will even see that. But it's really just been an extraordinary, fruitful year for me, and I think for all of the composers. So you would be very, very lucky to get to be a part of this wonderful atmosphere.
Thank you very much, Shruti. Thank you. Great. Now, there's lots of questions coming up here. I'm just going to wait, though. I'm going to let Josh do his bit first before I start answering the questions. So please keep the questions coming, but there'll be a whole list of questions, which I might throw over to one of you, the composers, as well, to help answer them as well. But anyway, many thanks for that, Shruti. And now, Josh, over to you.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Lovely to meet you. Hope you can hear me all okay. I'm just going to talk a bit about my experience at RNCM and then maybe play a short excerpt of one of my pieces. So I'm a 4th year undergrad at RNCM studying with Laura Bowler. And my experience at RNCM as a composition student has been absolutely fantastic. I'm not being biased, but I would probably say out of sort of any UK conservatoire, it's got the most amount of opportunities to get your pieces performed. And just sort of, I've got a little list here, so I don't sort of digress, but even sort of opportunities for writing for the Royal Ballet Dancers in Manchester, writing for the RNCM Brass Band, BBC Singers in London, like Shruti mentioned, the Safa New Music Ensemble, which is based in Manchester. And there's also a chance to write for the brand new Symphony Orchestra, which is an orchestra set up by the composition department, where you can write for it 3 times a year during your 2nd, 3rd and 4th year, and of course postgrads, masters and PhD students. And yeah, there's outside of that as well, there's also some fantastic opportunities with composers concerts, which are put on every year, I think 2-3 times a year. And also something which I haven't mentioned is spotlight concerts. So these are concerts that you can sort of design and create yourself. I think I've nearly done every single one since I've been at RNCM, so it's 1 each term, so 3 times a year. And you can sort of design your own concert. So in 1st year, I sort of got together a chamber orchestra and I collaborated with a fellow composer, and we sort of wrote a 45-minute chamber orchestra piece with lighting and all electronics and all this sort of wacky stuff, which was a fantastic thing, and which is something which is also really special with RNCM, is be able to put on your own concerts, and that's held in the Carol Nash Recital Hall. Yes, so anything else? There's also Composer Labs as well, which is, I'm sure Adam's mentioned, is an absolutely fantastic opportunity every 3 weeks or so to write for a sort of a sinfonietta-sized ensemble, sort of very small sort of chamber orchestra, which is it's a chance for you to sort of like experiment, even write sort of a small miniature, or it could be sort of a 6-7 minute piece and get that workshop, which is fantastic. Another thing of RNCM, which really appealed to me when applying, was that there's no house style at all. It's just so fresh and such an amazing atmosphere to be surrounded by such diverse different styles, and just being constantly inspired by fellow colleagues. and I really can't think of sort of two people who their styles match. Everyone's completely different, which is so inspiring to be in that environment, and that also sort of maybe want to apply to the RNCM. I think I'll talk about the piece and play a little excerpt. Following on from brand new, so that's the opportunity to write from for orchestra 3 times a year. I'm going to share my screen. I'll quickly give a little background about the piece. Give me one moment. Share computer sound. Right. So that's sound and screen as well. How do you do screen? I haven't done this in ages. Portion of screen.
Should be a green arrow at the bottom saying share screen.
Yeah. Okay. So you share. Okay. Music, computer sound only. So I'm sharing the sound now, just because I want to show the. I've got a video as well of the concert hall, so it might be quite interesting for guys to see the concert hall as well. How do?
Josh, when you clicked share sound, were you on the advanced, or because you have to be on the basic to share the screen?
Yeah, got it on the basic. There we go. Is that? Can everyone see that? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So yes, I'll play sort of 2 minutes of this piece. So this is a standard setup of the brand new symphony orchestra in RNCM, and this was a piece called Ignition, which I wrote back in January, and the piece is sort of is inspired by the spark or sort of the beginning of something new and exciting. Hasn't got much behind that, but yeah, this is absolutely fantastic opportunity. I don't know anywhere else, any other institutes that do this, so it's a brilliant opportunity. And yeah, if you've got any questions, send them through after. I'll play the first sort of 2 minutes or so. Cool. Give me a sec. How do I? Am I still sharing the screen? How to do this? There we go. Yes, so that was the brand new symphony orchestra. Amazing opportunity. I'd just like to mention quickly as well that sort of in a run up to the concert, there's 2 days of sort of intense workshops that sort of take course for the half of the day, which is a fantastic opportunity for to sort of sit in on the whole day of rehearsals and see all your fellow colleagues rehearse their pieces as well. It's a really, really, really amazing opportunity, and you learn so much, not just about sort of getting the piece together, about rehearsal ethics and sort of working with conductors especially, which is an extremely useful and valuable skill as well. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to say. But Yeah, RNCM is a great place. And if you want your pieces performed, it's a place to apply for and to be as well. And that's not me just being biased, by the way.
Thank you very much. Well, I don't mind you being biased. That's okay. So that's brilliant. So look, I'm now going to, there's quite a lot of questions here, so I'm now going to try and wade through them. Now, where were we? I need to get back to about, yeah, I mean, I'm going back to for Daniel, just to recap a bit, and I may bring any of you in as well to help answer some of the questions. But yes, I mean, in the very, very near future, there could be a possibility for a place in the coming academic year for postgraduate. That's to Daniel. Helena, you've answered Dana. Post-print, right. It's thank you, Helena, for answering Julie's one as well about there are two separate applications, but it's one fee. Thank you. Yeah. The application deadlines for postgrad entry 2021 to 22. Well, then they're actually this October the 1st. But we do, as you can see now, we do take late applications as well, because we have to sort of balance up the number of places, and there are a couple of we have a couple of places left in undergrad and postgrad left for this coming year. But I mean, really, we're obviously from quite soon, we're now looking at the year starting 2021 to 2022. Right, from Gwydion to everybody. I'm looking at the undergrad course. How much time do you have to write music? It depends how fast you write it. I mean, it's some people, I mean, of course, we have a pretty well-structured course, but we are mindful of the fact that people need time to write the music. Now, if you want to spend all night writing music, don't let me stop you. If you want to spend all weekend writing music, don't let me stop you. If you manage to write everything you need in about an hour, that's great as well. But you know, everybody's different. But certainly, writing time is made part of the situation. Hello, Gwydion. You've appeared on the screen. Did you want to say something?
Yes. With my earlier question about the deferred entry, what I was referring to was a kind of gap year. That's all.
Well. Really, no. I think we can't. We have to sort of keep within numbers. And so, if you get offered the place for 2021 and you say, "Can I come in 2022?" That we don't know what number of places we're going to offer in 2022. So you have to reapply. Or I mean, you know, if you've applied and we've offered you a place, the reapplication would be a formality. Hopefully, if we really like what you've done. But I mean, you can't. We don't normally do deferrals.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay, so wait a minute, where am I? Right, from Julie. How many composition students each year? Well, I think roughly there are 4 to 6 undergraduates in each year. There might be 7 actually in the first year. It's we like a sort of a small seminar type number. We've had as many as 10 before, but that's a bit too many. But we like about 5 or 6 or 7 ideally. And for postgrads, they tend to sort of come together. I think we've had 13 or 14 postgrads, and some of them do the 2-year course, some of them do the 1-year course. There is also PhD. I don't know whether there's any PhD people here today, but that's a separate thing which I can answer separate questions on. Do you have access to recording and mixing facilities using digital composition, or is it all acoustic with real instruments? Undergrad. Well, of course, acoustic is our speciality because we are a music college, and I think anybody would want to come to a music college where there are 800 fantastic performers to write music for those fantastic performers. But let me actually ask Helena to come in here, because you're pretty good on the electronic stuff. So can you just say how you work with electronics when you work on pieces?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I work with them in quite a lot of different ways. Primarily, or I have been using it with tape. So this facility's RNCM, they have like iMacs and lots of different microphones and stuff and software, and Logic with all these packaging. So you can like make your own fixed media behind the pieces. That's what I've often done. So I've recorded the electronics and then played it with the sound. And sometimes in my scores, I have like options to trigger certain sounds at different times and adding different effects to it. And then also in my second year, we've been learning about interactive music with electronics more. So I've written a couple of pieces this year that's involved max patches, which enables you to manipulate the sound live with the player. And so I think you can do purely electronic pieces, as well as pieces with acoustic, and that's how what I generally do is include some of electronics with acoustic players. That answers your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, because we do have some great facilities here now, but I mean, I think if you are wanting to just stay in a studio for 3 or 4 years and just write electronic music without any, as it were, humour interaction, the RNCM isn't, we can do that, but I think, there are universities which might be even better for that sort of thing. I mean, of course, Manchester University has terrific electroacoustic facilities.
Yeah, if you're interested in that as well, in the joint course, you also have obviously the availability to all of those facilities there. They have a massive electroacoustic suite. They do kind of teach a particular style, but it's all really useful to learn.
Great, thank you. Holly, how adaptive is the MMAS interview with regards to disabilities? How do I complete the musical analysis if I'm unable to write functionally and make it readable to myself and others? We are extremely adaptable. We would actually think of another way of doing it, and we would look at your application. I mean, we've had two disabled students. I mean, one of them was in a wheelchair and wasn't able to speak, but she had a fantastic time here. She did undergrad and postgrad here, and she's been getting commissions. She's a terrific composer, and at the present we have a blind composer, and everything has been adapted there. I mean, they have help with an amanuensis or several amanuenses, whatever the plural of amanuenses are, amanuensi, amanuensum. Let's not get into Latin too much. Anyway, they're having a great time. So we are extremely adaptable. I wouldn't worry about it, but we can have a separate conversation about that. From Myland, is basic conducting taught as part of the postgrad course? Are there opportunities for film, screen, theatre composition? Conducting, I mean, so many people want to conduct. It's a very popular thing. There is at postgrad, there is a conducting option that you can apply for. A lot of people want to do it, and I do encourage composers to do conducting, because in an ideal world, if you're a composer and a conductor, if you get commissioned to write a piece and you conduct it yourself, you get 2 fees, which is a good thing to do. So I mean, I think certainly it's something that is well sought after, and there'd be nothing stopping anybody to actually get their own ensemble together and conduct it. And but I mean, it is quite well sought after. So I think you need to try and get on the conducting course. I mean, the conducting second study or the module. Opportunity, yeah, film, screen, theatre composition, yes there are. I have good links with Manchester Metropolitan University, where all second year students do a film composition project, and I'm always getting stuff through my email about, can we find a composer, do you know somebody who'd be interested in this collaboration with film? One of the best things, one of my favourite projects, is what we call the Rosamond Prize. It's also with Manchester Metropolitan University. It involves, it's called the Rosamond Prize because Rosamond Street West is the road that runs between Manchester Metropolitan University and the RNCM. And it's poetry and creative writing students and composers work together. And and that has led to theatrical collaborations. We've had quite a few mini operas, larger scale theatre pieces. We had a fully fledged musical a few years ago. And so things came from collaboration, which is, I think, what one of the students said earlier, that collaboration is the key. I think composers need to collaborate. They need to work with other people to get different ideas. And we also have a collaboration with the Northern Ballet School, where first year students work with student choreographers, but then it's open to other people as well. So if anybody wants to work with dancers, that's a possibility as well. I better keep going down the list of questions here. Can we request tutors for one-to-one from Holly if we have a reason behind it? You can certainly request tutors for one-to-one. I mean, but what you, if you go through the audition process and we offer you a place, you can at the time soon afterwards say, thank you for offering me the place. I'd love to accept. Can I study with this person? That would be no problem. I mean, if you don't have to do that, and quite a lot of people just decide they come, and then it's my job to actually put them with the right teacher or teachers. Postgraduates get 2 teachers. We sort of feel that they're at the stage where they can get more than one opinion of their work. So their lessons are split with 2 teachers. Sometimes undergraduates have 2 teachers as well, if they particularly request it. But, but often they're happy with 1 teacher. But certainly, yes, you can request that. Can students compose to film? That's a question that somebody else asked. Yes, there are opportunities to write to film. I mentioned the course at Manchester Metropolitan University, but you know, I get other things as well. I mean, other people sort of mentioned that. Let's keep going down. From Peter. Is there going to be an opportunity to get an orchestral work performed in a concert in the first year? Of course, this is the million-dollar thing. It's our trademark. It's what we do better than anywhere. I mean, I've taught in many other places in Europe and around the world. I've done master classes, and nowhere else does this happen. I mean, we have to be a bit realistic in that everybody can't write a piece for every single orchestral brand new day, because there are altogether maybe over 40 students, and we can't play 40 orchestral pieces every time. And it's not desirable to do that anyway. I think we like first year students to go to the brand new concerts, to observe them, to actually work on, you know, see how it all comes together with orchestration and structuring a piece. So normally we would say, and this is quite realistic because it doesn't take, it's not that quick to write an orchestral piece, that really one piece a year is ample, and it's all you want to do anyway. And it's, I mean, your second, your third, or your fourth year, and when you're a postgrad, you can write a piece as well. So, I mean, there's a certain amount, one needs to spend some time on this, but you would certainly get at least one opportunity to write an orchestral piece in your time at the RNCM. I'm moving down to Dana. Is it possible to do piano as a second study on the BMUS composition program? If yes, how does the audition process work? Well, it's not an audition process. That I think generally second study, I think somebody else asked a question which I might have missed, is that once you've arrived at the RNCM, you are really, really busy. You know, one has ideas of doing a second study instrument, but you know, you become, hopefully, we try and introduce you to people, we try and get things going. The idea, what I want to do, I'm happiest when the composers are really, really busy. So you're just doing so much. And so any other stuff you might do is something you can do and fit around it, but it usually isn't realistic to be able to do any kind of regular study of any other instrument. Having said that, first year undergraduates get piano lessons. That's part of the course, it's part of the deal, is that first year undergraduates get, as part of what they do, piano lessons. But inevitably after that, if you have a particular year to have lessons with a particular person outside the composition course, it will be an extra cost, it will be an extra thing you'd have to arrange. And very, very few people do that. They find they get so busy after a while. From Emilia, how about occupations after graduating? Will school help and give opportunities for that? Or do we get any light work experience during our course to have a taste what it's like to be a composer? Well, I mean, of course, the work experience happens within the RNCM. And for example, Shruti, writing for the BBC Singers, I mean, the experience of working with professionals, and another group, SAFA, and London Sinfonietta, we have many professional people who come to the RNCM, or we go to them, and the professional experience is working with the real players. So I and my colleagues always tend to help our students because, you know, I know your work. And I mean, for example, one of the great opportunities, if you're writing orchestral music, is the LSO Panufnik scheme. And there's also one for the LPO. That's the London Symphony Orchestra and London Philharmonic Orchestra. And they, you know, they've regularly been playing RNCM student works, and this has often led to commissions. We've had quite a few of our students in recent years have managed to get their pieces played at the proms, the BBC proms at the Royal Albert Hall. And then a couple of years ago, maybe the most notable, one of the big notable successes is one of my PhD students, in the Oscars, the winner of the best short film was a little film called The Silent Child. I think you can find that online somewhere. Check it out, The Silent Child. And the composer was an RNCM PhD student, Amir Konjani. And so I think you should check that out. The Silent Child. It's a beautiful film about a young girl who can't speak, and he wrote the music for that. So there are opportunities outside. We look for commissioning opportunities all the time, and anybody, I would say now, who wants to be a composer, so to speak, a professional composer, would have to go through, I think, one of the big music colleges. And you know, we are the most prestigious music college in the UK outside London, and so people will know about us, and they will you know, they will come to me or come to one of my colleagues and say, well, you know, do you know somebody who might be suitable for this? And then I can recommend. Now from Theodore, is orchestration taught as part of the undergraduate course? Well, yes, of course it is. But I mean, I think I'm going to say something slightly perverse and provocative here. We don't need to have an orchestration course. Most university music courses do orchestration, where students will write an orchestration. It will get presumably played back on Sibelius note performer, and they'll get marked on that. We don't need to do that because we have the orchestra, we have the ensemble. So one of the techniques assignments is to actually write an orchestration, which then gets run through in one of the composer labs at one point during the year. So orchestration, of course, gets taught, but I mean, you know, experience of writing a brand new piece and writing for the new ensemble, or indeed wind ensemble or brass band, it's the best experience possible working with the players. And I've so often said, when you write for a flute, you don't write for a flute, you write for a person with lips that blows into something silver. You know, that is writing for a flute. You write for a flautist, you write for a human being that plays a flute. So anyway, I'm going to keep going down. Molly, can I carry on beyond 4:30 if necessary?
Yeah, a few people may have to pop off if anyone needs to go to another session. I think there's the postgraduate talk at 4:30, but yeah, you can carry on a bit. Just if people need to leave, that's fine.
All right, well, I'll just carry on going through the questions, and if people want to stay, they can stay. If they want to leave, but if Josh, Kev, Shruti, and Helena hang on for a tiny bit longer, they may want to ask you something. Right, are there opportunities to receive external commissions, etc.? Well, yes, when they come up. I mean, of course, I mean, things are always being emailed to me, which I give to my assistant to send out to everybody. And so any possible commissions, I mean, I obviously can't guarantee a successful glittering life as a composer and a 9-to-5 job with a company car and everything like that. You know, I can't sort of guarantee that, but then nobody in the world could. So, you know, as a composer, once you've finished your 4 years or your 2 years or your 6 years, if you do both courses, you will have a portfolio career. You know, we had a wonderful student called Aaron Breeze, who's just left recently. He was a fabulous composer. He's also an amazing pianist who can play anything. And I mean, so, you know, we love it when people have other skills. I mean, as an instrumentalist, as a conductor, as an arranger, working in a studio, somebody who's very technically very adept. So, you know, think about what else you can do as well. Although the idea is that we try and get you, as it were, your compositional technique and the opportunities to grow as a composer and get performance opportunities. That's what we're interested in. Right, there we go. Are there any requirements, e.g. grade 5 theory? No, I don't mind. No, I don't care about grade 5 theory. Quick answer. You know, I mean, the interview, I mean, you send in stuff for your audition, and we want people in the interview to be passionate. We want you to really want to be a composer. We don't want somebody to say, oh, well, I mean, I'm doing this for my A-level, and that's covered that. We want you to sort of, to be a composer, you've got to eat, sleep, drink and breathe it. It's got to be something that's obsessed, and you can't get rid of it. It's got to be sort of something that you can't, it's got to be with you day after day after day, all the time. You want to express yourself. You've got something to say and you want to change the world with it. That's what we're interested in. How much freedom in terms of composition do you get throughout the course? Well, as I think Josh said, there is no house style. You can write any way you like, you know, but the main thing is we want you to write something that's personal. We want you to sort of be your own person. We don't want you obviously we want you to listen to a lot, particularly your fellow students, about what they're doing, because you get the most ideas from your contemporaries, from your peers. But I mean, but you know, freedom meaning, I'm not 100% sure what you mean by freedom, but we could actually, you could perhaps sort of pop up and ask me what you mean, but I'll come back to you if you want me to. Amelia, does everybody get the chance of getting their piece played by the orchestra? It looks so cool. Well, it is cool. It's very cool. I'm jealous. Well, everybody who wants to write an orchestral piece will be able to write an orchestral piece. As it's planned very, very, very meticulously. I mean, I've sort of spent a lot of my time in the past and in the present being very nice to orchestral managers, people who book the players, people who organize the events, recording engineers. It's a whole big operation that we do here at the RNCM to get your orchestral pieces performed. So, my responsibility and my colleagues as teachers' responsibilities is to make sure, as well as the piece is good, that it's really well prepared, the score and the parts are really well laid out, there's not going to be problems in performance. This is something that, is very much part of the course. It's not something you can learn in 5 minutes. It's something that, week after week after week, we look at the orchestral scores really closely for so many different reasons to see how it's going to work and it's going to get the best performance. From Ruth, postgrads, if you're also a performer, can you be involved with the performance of your own work as part of your studies, where applicable for composition? Very much so. Anybody, undergrads, postgrads, I mean, we love composers that perform. I mean, because I think some of you will be doing that anyway, and we want to do even more of that. I mean, I think it's interesting because a lot of composers now perform less than they used to, because maybe it's too much time doing everything using Sibelius. I don't know, but I think very much so. It's very much encouraged, and sometimes, particularly if you play a slightly more unusual instrument, we've had bassoon players or horn players or double bass players play with the RNCM ensembles. I mean, they'll be auditioned as if they were a first study person, and they'll be auditioned. So I mean, there is a lot of opportunity as a performer. Right, from Julie. Oh, orchestration and arranging, well, I've talked about that. Arranging is a more specialist thing as a postgrad thing. I mean, there is an arranging option that I teach. Arranging can be part of the of your actual composition first study, but we really are most interested in people who want to find their own style and write their own thing. But that can be done, again, that's probably a sort of separate question about arranging. But certainly orchestration, writing well for performers, is 100% what composition always has to be about. When writing idiomatically, writing stuff that's going to work for you. Oh yeah, Helena has said that there's a conducting course at Manchester University, which is great. Douglas, is it possible to study solely composition, or is it one aspect of music like history integrated into the composition course? Well, everybody does a music degree. So as an undergrad, there is academic priority time, and you come out with a B.Mus. So one looks at history of music, harmony, theory, musicianship, specializations. I think it's important as a composer that you have a well-rounded knowledge of music from the present and the past, and of course, indeed, the other art forms. And in postgraduate, you have particular options, which can be arrangement, conducting, a dissertation, music and education. So I think it is a whole degree course in music with the first study in composition. Do you have to play with the piano to a decent standard in order to do composition? Some do, some don't. I mean, we have, obviously the piano, that's why I said first years have piano lessons. I mean, I'm a pianist, a keyboard player, I'm not concert standard, but I actually write using the piano and I couldn't do it any other way. Some people are not pianists at all. But I mean, no, you don't have to study the piano, but a certain amount of keyboard knowledge never does one any harm. Right. From Emma, I apologize, this is more of an admissions question. How would a mature student go about getting an academic reference? How stringent the A-level requirements? If yours are a bit historic and not particularly relevant. Well, I'm not worried about any of that, to be honest. I mean, I think maybe, Emma, perhaps you could write to me, email me separately about that, and maybe tell me a bit more about yourself. And I mean, and of course, all we were interested in is your music and your passion for writing music. So, I mean, again, I mean, you may have to think about references about somebody. It could be from somebody a long time ago. It could be somebody who is a work reference. But I think I need to talk to you separately about that one. From Molly. Yeah, Mark Beards, that's right. Yes, I think definitely our admissions department may well have answers to that one. Just admissions at RNCM, or indeed Mark Beards. So Helena. Yeah, okay, right, yes, because yeah, you keep the piano playing up to a good level. Fantastic. Yeah, so Douglas, how much of the course is studying other works and how much is writing your own? Well, I mean, in composition lessons, I mean, it's always great. I sometimes do that with students. We just look at another piece or an excerpt of another piece about if somebody wants to write a wind quintet, I'll say, well, look, this is how Ligeti does it. And we look at some of his wind quintet writing. Or, you know, if you want to write a large orchestral piece, there are so many composers to look at. I mean, from the last 100 years, I mean, who write, you know, from sort of from Debussy to Boulez to Birtwistle to Stravinsky to Mahler to Bernstein. You know, there's, you know, depending on what your particular interest is, the area that you're particularly passionate about, it's up to the teacher and the student to have a certain sort of rapport about what they want to, you know, about what will be most important for them to look at. How much of the course is so, and of course in the academic course you will study other works, I mean, and look in more detail about other pieces. Freedom in terms of what style you're writing for other instruments. Yeah, any style is good as long as you do it well. And the instruments we always recommend is the instruments that you're most likely to hear, because you want to write music because you want to play it. That's the only sort of reason. I mean, you know, and if you want, so you want to hear it, sorry. You write music because you want to hear it. And that the important thing is that you're writing something that will get a chance of somebody performing it. If it's very, very rare instrument that's only available sort of in a couple of places in the world, I might suggest that you that you don't do so much. But we are interested in obviously the standard instruments, jazz, pop as well. We had somebody earlier this year come in and bring in the oud, which is a Far Eastern lute, and some composers wrote for that. So yeah, any instruments. How many hours do we get one-to-one a week? Yeah, it's 1 hour a week, one-to-one, which for undergraduates is usually with one teacher, and for postgraduates it's split between 2 teachers. And then for undergraduates there is another hour of techniques. And the seminars are 2 hours, and there are these other composer labs, etc., that can be 2 or 3 hours. There is oh, Josh, thank you. Yeah, composers concerts, spotlight concerts, yeah, worth it. So, there we go. Do we have to write many essays? Oh, goodness gracious me. Not in composition. That's to do, that might be a question you might want to ask in academic studies, writing essays. You know, we don't, you know, we're about writing music. Maybe writing program notes and introductions to your music and be able to talk about your music is an important thing as well. What are the research opportunities here? That's an enormous question. I wouldn't know how to start answering that in full because composition is research. We have a great research department, and there are regular research events that actually happen on a Wednesday after the main composer seminar, which happens 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock. And then there are research seminars, which can be in new music, aspects of other music. So that there are regular research events, and there's a sort of research weekend, not weekend, but sort of couple of days at the end of the year. So, you know, you can do whatever research you like, and, you know, we can sort of try and tie that into what you want to do. Are there any, Amelia, are there any IELTS requirements? Yes, there is an IELTS requirement, but I'm not the best person to answer that because there's a certain number like 6.5 or 7. I think you need to go back to admissions about that. Have we got to the end yet? I think we've got to the end. Oh, right. Any other questions? I mean, final moment or two. Sorry, I've charged through it because I know some of you've got to get to other things. I think I'm going to say thank you to Take, Shruti, Joshua, and Helena. Thank you very much. You can say goodbye now. So thank you for your Molly. Anybody? I mean, should we finish now? Oh, does English GCSE replace IELTS? No. I don't think it does. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I think again that's a question for that's a question for the admissions people. should we finish now, Molly? I mean, it's
Yep, if everyone needs to get to another session, then
Yeah.
we can finish here.
So anybody else, I mean, please, you can find my email at adam.gorb@rncm.ac.uk. Any other questions, just drop me an email. So thank you all for listening, and thank you to the composers for presenting, and I hope to see you all at auditions very soon. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye.